Crafters. This is Raquel with Paints and Glitter, and this is my very final tutorial sharing with you how I will be decorating the cover of this gorgeous mini album using dies from Tonic Studios. I did use the fabulous foliage dies. With that set, I created these gorgeous leaves, which I layered first with a silver and then the green cardstock on top. I also cut out these flowers here, and then with the center of the dies that come with that set, I did cut out the little flowers that look like cupcake liners. There's 3 different sizes, so I'm showing you the 2 largest ones and then the very smallest. So I'll be layering those with the flowers. Also using the Perfect Rose die set from Tonic Studios, I've cut out 2 pieces in the medium and then 3 pieces in the smallest die in that set. I'll be sharing with you how to make a rose and also how to make a bud using all of these pieces. Then using the daisies die set from Tonic Studios, I went ahead and cut out 2 different shapes of flowers in the butterscotch, I believe it's called, yellow cardstock from Tonic Studios. I'll link all of these below if they're available. If not, then I'm sorry, I might not be adding some of these. I also used the rose trellis die set to create one of the matting layers, and this is going to fit inside of the pocket of my very first page layout in this mini album. So because I had waited to make this, then I went ahead and included it in this video. Now on to the flowers, using the 2 largest pieces that cut out using the rose die set. You can go ahead and start burnishing the petals, and I did use some really beautiful deep red cardstock, and I'm sharing with you how I will take a ball tool, which can be easily found both in Tonic Studios, the store, or at other stores online. You can use that tool to burnish the edges of petals, burnish the center of this flower, all sorts of ways, but I'm going to share with you how I've gone about it. I adhered to these 2 layers together, and then using the smallest piece that you can cut out using that same die set, I layered 2 pieces, and then I did burnish the 3rd one as well and set that one aside. Here you see me layering those 2, and then I flip it upside down and only burnish the center. So you can see how it starts looking, but I want to do the same thing with the first 2. So I flip that over, burnish only the center, and this is going to create a wave-like motion with those petals. And now I can go ahead and layer those 2. I did use one of the smaller pieces, layered that one in the center, and one of the bitty little flowers, and using Nuvo Adhesive, I go ahead and layer all of these. So it's quite a few petals for one flower. However, I think it's well worth it because you get a lot of dimension. And of course, using the paper collection, you can match the very center of the flower if you'd like to the project that you're making, and of course that's personal preference, but that is what I did with mine. And I decided that I wanted to cover a portion of that front cover using that big flower, and then I'm just going to set that aside to dry. Now using that one leftover group of petals there, which is only 1 piece, I went ahead and took 2 pearls, glued them together, and that's because I couldn't find a bead, but you can definitely use a bead for this. And then all you have to do is start shaping this. As you can see, it becomes almost like a little cone shape. All I did was to take every single petal and start pinching it, and the paper starts folding itself. But by adding that little bead in the center, what you can do is create what will be a rosebud, and this will allow for you to have dimension with that flower without it having flattened the flower. And In a moment you'll see what else I do here, and that's that little piece that looks like a little starfish is how I describe it. Will actually cover any of the little gaps that may remain so that you don't see any of the bead that you placed inside or pearls. So I did it 2 times, and that was just to create a nice sturdy base for this particular flower. Here is a closer look at that little bud. And then using hot glue, I'm just going to tuck it into one of the little corners of this book front, and that will allow it to nestle right into that other larger flower. Now moving along, this other type of flower you can use, and it does have to be rolled, and I'm sharing with you the Cricut tool that I used. But you can definitely use one of these tools. They're readily available. It is called a quilling tool, and depending on how you feed the little paper into that slot, you can either roll that paper away from you or toward you, whichever you prefer. And what I do is I'm showing you how I tend to pinch it a little bit with my nail, just so that I can hold on to that paper, and this way it doesn't slip away. When I get toward the end, I manipulate that paper just to keep rolling it around, and then I pull away the tool, and there's a little portion left over. It's like a little circle, and all you have to do now is apply your adhesive there in the center, being very careful. You press, and then your flower is ready. So you can manipulate these little edges of the petals if you'd like to. And by the way, that flower was from a different die set. It was from a designer's choice die available by Tonic Studios, or from Tonic Studios, but I don't think it's still available. These little petals here create a different type of flower, and all I did here was layer these by using 3 of them. And of course I stagger them, and that way the petals are not laying directly one on top of the other. I'll be doing this twice because I wanted to make sure that I used as many flowers as I could in this book. Now some of them I'll use on the cover, and others I'll use on the interior of this book. And you'll see that at the end of this video, where I will share pictures. These here are the little daisies from Tonic Studios, and it is my favorite flower of the entire collection that I have from them. And it has a little centerpiece that I did cut out in silver just to match the rest of the book. And as you see there, I did take 3 pieces and I staggered them, or I attempted to. I went ahead and grabbed that little silver piece, and after adding a bead of hot glue in the center, I was able to add that, and now I have a nice cute little shiny center to my flower. And I proceeded to do that one more time. These flowers of course can be cut in any color that you like. I just wanted to match my mini album, and that's why I went with the colors that I chose. And I'm pointing at that blue mat. It just happens to be a foam mat, and that's what I recommend for you to shape your flowers. It allows that paper to just bend more easily, and it helps so that your paper doesn't crack. And some of these I did mist very, very lightly with a tiny bit of water. That's another way to shape your paper so that it folds nicely. And here you see me just layering those small little flowers that look like cupcake wrappers, and then adding some more to the cover of this mini album. The ones that you see on the upper left hand corner, I ended up using on the inside of the book because I did make one little change that was not visible in the video, but you'll see it later on. And then last but not least, I'll add my leaves. I always tend to do this last, and they tuck very nicely into the little corners. And I always do recommend that you use the leaves to go along with the flowers. It just gives it a much more natural look. And then at the very end here, I did add another silver little button center to that largest flower. And that completes my mini album. I do hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget there are 2 other videos in which you will learn how to put this entire book together, including the base and all of the pages, the matting, the different types of pockets, etc. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and as I always say, that you can be inspired and be blessed. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.